That's all they could afford. And once on board, all the other passengers were going to the large ornate dining rooms to eat their gourmet meals. And meanwhile, this poor man who was on the same ship that they was on would slip and go over in the corner and open up his suitcase and eat it, his cheese and crackers. This went on day after day. He could smell the delicious food being served in the dining room, and he heard the other passengers speak of it in glowing terms and talk about how after this cruise was over, they were going to have to go on a diet from all of the weight they gained from these steaks, potatoes, shrimp, gourmet food. And as he would sit and watch them in jealousy as they would rub their bellies, the poor traveler wanted so bad to join the other guests and enjoy the trip on the way.
Yes.
All right. He would dream night after night and smell the food before they even cooked it, dreaming of these sumptuous meals that the other guests described to him in detail. Toward the end of the trip, another man came up to him and said, "Sir, I can't help but notice that you're always over there in the corner eating cheese and crackers at meal times. Why don't you come into the banquet hall and eat the gourmet meals with the rest of us?" And the traveler's face flushed with embarrassment. He said, "Well, to tell you the truth, I had only enough money just to buy the ticket. I didn't have any extra money to purchase the fancy meals." The other passenger raised his eyebrow in surprise, and he shook his head, and he said, "Sir, don't you realize that the meals are included in the price of the ticket? Your meals have already been paid for." All right. And when I first heard and read of that story, I couldn't help but think of how many people are similar to this naive traveler in their Christian journey to that other shore.
Say it. All right.
They're missing out on God's best because they don't realize that the good things in life have already been paid for. They may be on their way to heaven, but they don't know that there was an abundant life included on the price of the ticket that was paid for before they ever got on the ship and started the journey. And God intends for you to enjoy the trip to the other side of the shore. So I want to preach to a group of people on Bible study. I'm going to preach tonight and ask you, why are you going to settle for a cheese and crackers mentality when you can enjoy milk and honey? Why are you going to choose to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else enjoy the abundant life? Why are you going to choose to sit over with your poor mentality and watch the good things in life pass you up? I'm not talking about the pleasure of sin. I'm talking about the abundance of life that Jesus said, "I am come that you might have life and have it more abundantly." I'm tired of a survivor mentality in the church. We are more than conquerors, not less than survivors. And God never intended you to be like an ostrich with your head in the sand, staying defeated, staying discouraged, staying, amen, in a state of discontentment, staying sick, staying all bound up, when everything that you need, all the meals have already been paid for. You need to enjoy the trip and pull up your chair and eat some steak and ship because the meals were included in the price for you to get on board this whole gospel ship. Why are you eating cheese and crackers? I can see some of you coming here, middle in here on Wednesday night. You've had a rough time at home this week. The boss has been breathing down your throat. You're not making the kind of money you'd like to make. Come on now, get real with me. Real life hits you. Anybody ever dealt with real life? I'm not talking about the pretend stuff. I'm talking about when the doctor looks you in the face and says, I got bad news, this is what the x-ray says. I'm talking about when the employer pulls out a pink slip and says, I got bad news, we got to cut back. I'm talking about when your teenage daughter looks at you and says, Dad, I'm pregnant. I'm talking about when your spouse looks at you and says, I don't want to live for God anymore, I'm just going to stay at home. I'm talking about when your spouse chooses to walk out on you entirely and fall for the Lord. What do you do then? You deal with the grief and you get comfort in the church. But you don't forever lay down and die and suffer because of malnourishment on the journey of settling for cheese and crackers. Why settle for cheese and crackers